Thanks very much for that. Mr. Saccomanni, I would love to hear your thoughts on financial stability and how that plays into all of this. You've had a really up-close view of how the Eurozone has tried to hang on to this recently.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me here. I think I greatly enjoyed reading the paper that has been prepared for this seminar. I think it's very, very interesting, and I like the emphasis on sort of, promoting a global market for capital flows and in support of productive investment. Unfortunately, I also see that there are risks for the achievement of these objectives. I'm just returning from a trip to Asia, and I find that the sort of common wisdom there is that capital flows are mostly speculative, are not necessarily connected with productive investment, and that monetary and financial authorities have to rely on capital controls, on very severe macroprudential measures, and have to embark on massive foreign exchange market intervention because they have to avoid, the upward pressure on their exchange rates, and they have to accumulate foreign exchange reserves, to withstand the inevitable outflow of capital that will materialize after a while. So this is the prevailing sentiment there, and the risk that I see is that this will eventually contribute to accelerate the process of financial fragmentation. I think one of the questions we were asked to address is whether there is a risk of a global financial retreat, and I must say that I do feel that this is indeed the case. In Europe, as you asked, I think we have made important progress towards greater financial integration. I mean, somewhat belatedly, let's put it frankly. We started moving towards the banking union as a reaction to the very severe banking and financial crisis we were experiencing. But even in Europe, as we're moving towards the capital market union, I see that there are potential risks of conflict between the macro-prudential policies approach and the micro policies. I think micro policies in the financial field are still sort of, I would say, pro-cyclical, in the sense that they continue to require banks in a way to deleverage, and at the moment in which we see that there would be a need for reviving growth in the economy. And I see also the risk that macroprudential policies may be used for sort of geographical ring fencing, even within Europe. So, I mean, this is, I take it, is mostly the result of the global crisis. So, and also the reaction that European citizens are having towards Europe and the prospect of further integration is a result of the very severe crisis in terms of loss of output and jobs and so forth. So the key issue I see to restore financial stability in Europe is basically to revive growth. And the question is, how do you do that? And I think there is a consensus since Mario Draghi spoke at the Jackson Hole conference last August that to revive growth and fight unemployment, you need to have all policy instruments at work simultaneously. I mean, monetary policy, fiscal policy, structural reforms, investments. Now, if we look at how we are faring with these various items, I think that monetary policy is doing its job. I mean, I'm a former central banker, so you won't hear me to criticize. And I think a lot has been done with the quantitative easing and measures of that sort. On the investment, I think we have the Juncker plan, and I think that is a very important element. But I think we'll have to wait and see, because I mean, proposals of that kind have been made before, and they have not been necessarily successful. So I think it is important that the European Union comes out with a strong strategic view on how to promote investment in the key sectors of energy, the digital agenda, transportation, and so forth. I mean, one needs to bring the national monopolies around the table and tell them that they have to change the tune now. On reforms, I think the process of reforms has obviously been not facilitated by the decline of economic activity. So I think there is a need to perhaps to provide, and I think President Juncker has already indicated that some sort of incentives, to induce countries to make progress in the reform agenda. But where we're still not very much aligned with this idea is on the fiscal policies. I mean, we don't have a fiscal policy stance of the European Union that one can use as a counter-cyclical factor, and I think we are still relying on the indication provided by the report of the 4 presidents of the Commission, the Eurogroup, the Council, and the Central Bank, that they call for an integrated economic policy framework. Well, we still don't have that in the field of fiscal policies, and probably there is a lot of work to be done here in reviewing the fiscal rules, which are not really designed to sort of create a more coordinated approach in fiscal policy, but are designed to protect the integrity of the monetary policy of the ECB from the irresponsible national fiscal policies. So I think there is a lot of work needs to be done in this field. And so final point I'd like to make is what the European Union partners can do. I think a lot has been said already. I would like to single out a couple of things. One is that I think we all need to make the G20 process more effective. That's where I think everybody agrees that the process had a good moment at the beginning of the crisis. Then it has somewhat sort of diminished its effectiveness over time. And I think if we really want to deal with the problems I mentioned, the risk of a global financial retreat, that is where we have to act. Because the G20 is encompassing also the activity of the Financial Stability Board and so forth, and where a sort of a global effort to achieve compatible macroeconomic policies international needs to be made. And one point that I think is part of this is the efforts to fight against tax evasion and tax elusion. I think when I was Minister of Finance, I was very pleased to see that there is really a changed climate internationally on the question of avoiding the so-called base erosion and profit shifting, because I mean we as responsible for the sort of fiscal policies and the tax policies of our countries, we find that it's becoming very difficult to meet the needs and the expectations of people with a sort of a diminishing tax base. So I think this is again an issue on which important progress has been made, and including in relationship with Switzerland. I think the climate is changing, and that I think would be an important element to continue to work, in order to promote financial stability and fiscal sustainability.